Hey, what's going on, good people? How you doing? I'm back with another edition of the Everyday Progressive Show. Be sure to check me out on my Twitch stream, which I do pretty regularly over on Twitch TV. Every day or every other day around 8 o'clock or so, sometimes earlier. Anywho, today we're going to a little video from the Joe Rogan Experience. And it's talking with this dude named Naval Ravikat. And I watched a little bit of this video, and it's titled, why socialism has yet to work. Anyway, it turns out the guy is like a big venture capitalist and such. What a shocker. Big venture capitalist guys against anything that might give the public power. Which is basically what socialism is. If you want to do the dictionary definition, what is the one that I go by. Workers own the means of production. There's no private business and such. That's actual socialism, not social democracy, which what many European countries have and many other countries have around the world. So just that off the bat is a huge conflation or confusion with what's actually going on. So it's just like these discussions that absolutely just poison the well of the discussion to make it, just for their own purpose or whatever. And Joe Rogan really needs, to push back a bit more against these fucking jokers. He really does. I understand, like, when he talked with David Pakman, he, Joe Rogan said, right? I don't know if it's cop out, but Joe Rogan's all like, well, I just let them just talk and let them get their ideas out. I don't try to push back too much, and I can see that, but sometimes it's just a point to it. If you tell a blatant lie or just blatant propaganda, it behooves you for honest discussion to sort of say, hey, wait a minute, that's not exactly the case. Not because a person may be purposefully lying, but because maybe they're just straight up uninformed. Maybe they just don't know better, and you just need to set them straight, or at least say, no, this is what it is, and yeah. But anywho, I figure I'll do a little video review series. The actual episode's about 7 minutes or so long. I'll probably be stopping every 20 seconds, because it does discuss basic income a little bit, and I definitely have some responses for that as well. I only watched about maybe a third of it so far, so the rest of it beyond that will be a bit of a surprise for me. I hope it gets better, but I don't know. So let's watch with the Joe Rogan Experience with Naval Ravikat, if that's how you say his name.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
That brings us back to the idea of meaning and universal basic income. I think the idea of giving someone $15,000 a year doesn't necessarily cause what everyone would worry about is people being on the dole. You would have a bunch of listless people out there with no meaning in life. But the idea is that $15,000 a year, and I'm not necessarily sure I agree with this. I'm not even endorsing this. But that $15,000 a year would just provide you with the necessities to get by in life. It would give you food. It would give you shelter.
Well, it's not going to stop at 15 because the moment people are like, at 15, like
then people would demand more.
Yeah.
This dude looks so fucking smug. Oh, it's just not going to, stop at 15. There's no evidence for that. Alaska, they've been having their oil pipeline dividend for decades. Have they jacked it up through the roof? No. So there's really no evidence to support that what a basic income actually end up doing this, a direct cash transfer program. There's just no evidence of that shit. And that's what I mean. Joe Rogan, deep down, I think he's a smart dude. He's a good guy, I think. Obviously, I don't think he's a Nazi or nothing. This middle of the road centrist, a bit left here, a bit left there, a bit right there, But there's just some things, well, I'm not perfect, that I wish I can just go on his show and just tell him, but I'm just some small time, small fry, progressive guy. But, it is what it is. There's no evidence showing that people are going to end up voting themselves something ridiculous. This is none of that. That's an assumption. That's an internal narrative sort of deal. Like, do you have anything to back up that narrative? I got shit to back up what I'm saying. So let's continue.
Sanders would be on the. I want
16, 17,
$45,000 a
18,
year. These
We're-
companies are too big. Yeah, that could happen.
It doesn't stop.
So-
It just goes all the way to bankruptcy.
Yeah, it's going away bankruptcy. So can you guys give me my tax break? It's probably I went down if he says that shit next. Of course, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Yeah, we have all kinds of evidence that says that it does, but it just doesn't because it helps out my hyper-capitalist narrative. This guy's absolutely this smug in his arrogance. Holy shit.
The concern is the slide to socialism.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, if I was not working and I was getting my
By the way, universal basic income is not socialism, as it does not put the workers in the control of means of production, nor does it end private business. In fact, it strengthens private markets, for commerce and such. God, these people don't. This dude does not. Either he knows what he's talking about and he's just lying, or he's just so full of shit he doesn't realize it. I don't even know. But kind of got the eyes of a psychopath a little bit. This smiling psychopath. I don't know. I ain't trying to judge, but I'm just saying it looks a certain way.
15 a year, I would happily vote for the guy who would give me 20 or 25. It's just common sense.
What do
You'd
you
be
say
stupid
to the
not
people that don't?
Yeah, I bet he boasts the guy that gives him a big fat tax break, Mr. Venture Capitalist. People like him always want us to hook him up. As soon as we say, hey, can't we do something for the people to where people can live a little bit better, not so much in grinding abject poverty and struggle? Oh, no, we can't do that because, for reasons and shit.
Don't believe that there is such a thing of ethical or compassionate capitalism. And there's many people today that are espousing Marxism, and they're espousing some sort of a socialist society where they believe that capitalism has screwed people over. And
it's not so much that capitalism has screwed people over, it's the way it's set up. And the thing is, you got to realize all economic systems, to one degree or another, no matter if they're so truly socialist, truly communist, truly capitalist, or a mix, whatever, they're all going to be flawed to one degree or another. It's all how they're set up and how they're ran. And if you realize, well, the reason I'm saying they're all flawed is because people are involved, and people are inherently flawed. So you gotta make sure you have certain safeguards in place to make sure that things don't go awry. And the kind of economic system we have in the United States right now, it's just set up so where it's sliding us closer and closer to corporate type of corporate feudalism. But let's see what his response is.
Eliminated the middle class, and
there are absolutely problems with capitalism. I think monopolies are a problem. I think that crony capitalism is a problem.
Yeah, that's a fair point. He's making some fair points, but God, we're only a minute and a half in. Shit, this might be a half-hour video. I hope not.
The government, kind of gets in bed with them and sort of forces things. I think the bankers have really, raped society, and the rest of us are suffering for it. Yeah, they've essentially taken huge risks where they privatize the gains and they socialize the losses. So when it fails, they basically get bailed out and bankrupt everybody else. So capitalism has gotten a really bad name. Let's talk about its free exchange.
Then I think this is where he gets into the free market sort of deal, which is there's no such thing as free markets. The closest thing to free market that you have is, hey, I'll trade you that chair for these chickens or some shit. That's it. The rest is, put up by a backbone of economic infrastructure, which happens to be tax funded and upkept by taxes. It has a cost in order for you or anyone else to keep doing business along them lines. But, let's swallow this shit.
Free markets. Free markets and free exchange are intrinsic to humans. From when the first person started a fire and somebody came along with a deer and said, hey, if I cook my deer on your fire, I'll share some of it with you, right? So specialization of labor, we trade, that's built into the human species. Basic math comes from accounting, keeping track of debts and credits and so on. We need to be able to engage in free trade. The correct criticism of capitalism is when it does not provide equal opportunity. And so we should always strive to provide equal opportunity.
And that's okay, but I hate to say there, Mr. Naval, when you say things like fairness and equality, you might be going down the path of communism. Well, I'm just kidding. I'm being cheeky, but Yeah, he's espousing certain ideas that many on the right would consider just, fairness. No, I want to have the unfair upper hand. So be careful there, Naval.
But people confuse that with equal outcome. When you have equal outcome, that can only be enforced through violence.
Well, that right there is a bit of a misnomer. Some people do want equal outcomes, I grant it. But people like me want an equal opportunity to start off from, to where you can end up where where you want to be, either a little bit higher or much, much higher. So where the outcome is different. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Basic income does not provide equal outcomes. It just gives you a basic floor of financial opportunity to springboard off of into other things if you want. That's all it does. You can go as high as you want. Basic income, start your own business, make that profitable hobby that you have now even more so. It's not with basic income, or even say the concepts of Medicare for all, or public education, or higher public education, tuitionless college. It's
because free people make different choices. And when they make different choices, they have different outcomes. And if you don't let them suffer the consequences of bad choices or reap the rewards from good choices, then you are forcibly redistributing through violence. It's interesting that
what does he mean redistributing through violence? I mean, does this guy not seem to understand that all of his profits, all of his, when people talk about, man, I work a job, I work so fucking hard, I'm a hard worker, man, I'm a hard worker, man, I got a steel hard hat, and all that shit. It's like, do they not realize that they are able to work so hard to even have a job in the first place because of a certain thing involved that's in place in the first place? The tax-funded economic infrastructure. And if it wasn't there, your ability to make such gains, his ability to make such gains, would not be possible. Or at the very least, that would be extremely difficult, compared to now. And that infrastructure requires upkeep, so he can keep making more money. And everyone else can keep going have a job and working hard. Through violence, I mean, yeah, it is violence, because if you're stealing from that upkeep, you're stealing from the thing that allowed you to be so gainful in the first place. And that's what a lot of people on the right have been tricked by this taxation, this theft narrative. It's poison. It's absolute philosophical poison. It's bullshit. If you want to talk to me about it in the comment section below, please. I beg you. But there ain't maybe 2 people so far over the course of the year of this channel existing that may have said something about it. I've got plenty of thumbs down and shit. But no one's brave enough to step forward and talk to me. I mean, I've been on the fucking other what do you call them, YouTube channels where people are like either these like Ancapper Express or some shit, or the Status Destroyer, and guess what? It ain't me who gets destroyed. So they need to wise up. Wasn't for that infrastructure that I'm talking about and being in place, their ability to be so successful would be greatly diminished compared to what it is now.
There are no working socialist examples that exist without violence. You basically need someone to show up with a gun and say, okay, you're not allowed to do that. You hand this over to that person. So one of the reasons why I do this podcast is because I believe everybody can be wealthy. Everybody. It's not a zero sum.
Well, everyone can be a billionaire. Just snap your fingers and click your heels and imagine it. I mean, just because everybody can doesn't mean that they're going to be able to. I mean, that's just wishful thinking there, dude. I mean, not with the things how they're set up now, for the most part.
Sum game. It is a positive sum game. You create something brand new, you exchange it with me for something brand new I've created. There's higher utility for both of us. The sum of the value created is positive. It's not like status, where it's like you're higher up, I'm lower down. You're president, so I must be vice president. You're a +1, I'm a -1, and has to cancel to 0. We should be all for playing positive sum ethical games.
Great. Too bad that little game you want to play is based on, or at least based off, or backed up by that tax-funded economic infrastructure. He just doesn't seem to realize it. But then again, maybe he just hasn't heard my take on it. Probably not. The most he's probably heard is, well, taxes are just a cost of living in society, which is true. But it could be explained a bit better for the average person to understand. But yeah.
The problem is because of these looters who have ruined capitalism's name, that then you get socialists coming in and saying, burn the whole system down.
Right.
You burn the whole system down, we end up like Venezuela or the former Soviet Union.
No. Oh, we're going to end up like Venezuela. So what the fuck about Denmark? What the fuck about Finland? What the fuck about UK? What the fuck about Germany? What about Spain? What about fucking France? What about fucking Japan? What about Australia? Oh no, those are actually social democracies with strong welfare states. Great, let's do that. Oh no, that's socialism. I think I've seen that, shown that meme in my Discord a little while ago. It's not all Venezuela and North Korea, or Russia or whatever, old Russia or whatever. It's just hacky shit, hacky.
You don't want to be a failed socialist states with emaciated teens hunting cats in the streets to eat.
We got emaciated teens in the United States. Many people suffer from hunger or food insecurity. So this dude can fuck right off, man. He wants to point fingers like no, I don't think so. I'm gonna provide a link in the description below to back up that statement of mine.
Right, that's literally what happens in some of these places.
Happens here too, bucko.
So I think it's very important not to destroy the engine of progress that brought us here.
Yeah, the idea that socialism just hasn't worked yet. That it needs to, we just need to do it right. If we do it right, we can. Have you ever had a debate?
100 million dead.
Except that what I'm proposing is not actual socialism, not according to the definition laid out in the dictionary. Rogan, you know better than this, man. I mean, I understand he's playing to his base, but shit, fire.
Yeah. Well,
let's keep trying.
All over the world, yeah, and every single time it's been implemented.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a conversation?
Every time it's been implemented in, Europe and Japan. It's such lazy bullshit, and they want to call socialists lazy.
With someone who's a socialist,
many times. Some of my better friends are socialists.
Really?
So we really get into it. Yeah.
And what is there? I mean, does anyone have a compelling perspective at all?
Let me talk to him. But no, I'm a nobody. Yeah.
I think really socialism comes from the heart, right? We all want to be socialist. Capitalism comes from the head, because
and greed comes from the heart too. So
there are always cheaters in any system.
Yes.
And there's incentives in any system. So when you're young, if you're not a socialist, you have no heart. When you're older, if you're not a capitalist, you have no head, right? You haven't thought it through. So I understand where it comes from. I always liked Nassim Taleb's frame.
I think where it also comes from is reams and reams of observational evidence that shows that social democracies work just fine. Worker co-ops work great. And, the closest thing that makes me a Marxist at all would be advocating for more worker co-ops, not mandating them, even though they're mandated in, say, places like Germany, right? If your company is over a certain amount of employees, but yeah, it's just I think we should even through the tax code incentivize worker co-op formations. If you have a worker co-op, you get certain tax breaks, or you get certain tax incentives for doing so, as an encouragement. I mean, that's my stance on that.
Framing on this, where he said, with my family, I'm a communist. With my close friends, I'm a socialist. At my state level politics, I'm a Democrat. At higher levels, I'm a Republican, and at the federal level, I'm a libertarian, right? So basically, the larger the group of people you have massed together who have different interests, the less trust there is, the more cheating there is, the better the incentives have to be aligned, the better the system has to work, the more you go towards capitalism. The smaller the group you're in a kibbutz, you're in your commune, you're in your house, you're in your tribe, by all means be a socialist. With my aunts, with my brother, with my cousins, with my uncles, with my mom, with my family, I'm a socialist. That's the right way to live a loving, happy, integrated life.
Yes.
But when you're dealing with strangers, you want to be a real socialist? Great. Open all your doors and windows tomorrow.
That is not what the fuck we're talking about. Interesting little narrative, interesting little way of thinking about it, kind of like the inverted Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but for economics, But just because somebody might be a socialist by the right-wing definition, and most of us know how most right-wingers define socialism. Anything the government does with taxes. right? That's how they define it. I mean, unless it comes through the border wall, then that kind of big government's okay. Endless war, that kind of big government's okay. You know, the war on supposed stupid war on drugs. That kind of big government's okay. You know, it's just disingenuous.
Please, everybody, come take what you want. See how that works out.
Yeah. This idea of income inequality, that always strikes me as it's a deceptive term, income inequality.
Well, let's flip it around. It comes from outcome inequality.
Yes.
And the outcome inequality is there because you made different choices. Now, again, going back, if it was because you didn't have the same opportunities, that's a problem.
Yes.
So society should always try to give people
Conservatives approaching the point.
equal opportunities. So, for example, instead of basic income, what if we had a retraining program built into our basic social fabric, which said that every 4 years or every 6 years or whatever it is, maybe it's every 10, you can take 1 year out and we'll pay for you to go retrain completely. And you can go into any profession you like that has some earning power and output.
You mean kind of like tuitionless college or trade schools? I mean, I'd be for that too.
Hopefully a creative long-term profession, and you can re-educate yourself. That would be much better for society on all levels than basically just saying, now you're going to be the dole for the rest of your life.
No, it's not about being on the dole. It's about being invested in as a person. This idea is basic income or extended Social Security is not welfare. Everyone gets it. Everyone gets a dividend, regardless if they work or not. As long as they're an adult citizen, they get it. It's an investment in them. Think of it this way: how we have public libraries, public roads, public schools, public highways. You know, it's public money. It just adds to the economic infrastructure, but it does so in such a way that it ends up saving us money compared to what we're doing now, letting poverty exist. Without having to cut any current social programs, we'd still save money compared to what we're doing now. It's just an investment in people. I mean, you can only get it once per month. You know, it isn't like you can keep hitting some government button and getting it over and over and over or anything like that. You still got to structure your life around it. You know, but as thinking of it as a conservative directionally type of idea, I'm more conservative than this guy. I'm more conservative than the fucking right wingers who watch this show or watch this episode. You know, I mean, I'm talking like directionally conservative fiscally. It's fucking weird. Guys put me back on the ropes like I'm conservative-ish. God.
Life.
Yeah, you'd have to lead that horse to water and then make him drink.
It requires people to put in some effort.
Yes.
But, we can't all just sit around. It's just not...
Well,
people are already putting in the effort. So, and even I can show in another video, more detailed, I can show that a basic income is something that we've already earned, because of our consumer spending growing the GDP the way it does. I can point this out. We have already earned that dividend. Basic income or extended Social Security is just us getting a bit of that GDP growth back as a dividend, which ends up negating a lot of poverty's expensive effects, saving us money that way, and growing the economy. Even I think it's Forbes or Business Insider recently, a little while ago, put out an article saying that if we did a basic income for 8 years, we would add, as icing on the cake, we would add $2.5 trillion of GDP growth to the economy after 8 years of doing a basic income. That's just icing on the cake. Never mind all the savings you get on top of it. So.
Well, that's my perspective on income inequality. There's always effort inequality and thought inequality. I mean, there's just some people that are obsessed, and if those people become successful, it doesn't mean they stole from you. It just means that they put in the amount of energy and effort that's required to reach where they're at.
Already doing
and there's a lot of virtue signaling that goes on now where people say, well, it's because you're privileged. It's like, well, you know what the greatest privilege is? You're alive. 85% of humanity is dead.
Gee, thanks for saying that. I'm so lucky to be alive and part of a system that does not properly provide a floor of opportunity. Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
So how privileged are you? Then you're living in the first world. Then you have 4 limbs, etc. So you can take that argument all the way. It's kind of a nonsense discussion.
Speaking of nonsense discussions, holy shit. I mean, this little video had some good points here and there, but mostly it was just typical right-wing drivel. Anywho, before the video gets too much longer, I'm gonna mosey on, and I want to thank everyone for watching. Be sure to check out my Twitch channel, The Everyday Progressive Show on Twitch. I stream pretty regularly. And as always, thanks for watching.